ask questions about. Yes, sir.
Backing up to the choice of where you put the electronics and so forth. Over in the Aristo example, the trailing car, if you don't undo the shell and you put everything in the trailing car, I know I've got some Aristo, I haven't done anything. They've only got a 2-wire lead. So all you're feeding the engine is voltage for the, and that's the same as coming off the track. More voltage, brighter lights, more speed, and vice versa, right?
That's right.
But in this case, you get a lot of functions that happen, lights, everything, while it's standing still. So this is more like a DCC type of control.
That's true. That's true.
So in order to achieve that level of individual control over sounds and features, a simple electronics in a trailing car won't work.
That's right.
Unless you've got about a 20-wire harness.
Just about. That's right. What Al was saying, let me just paraphrase here, is that this engine, because everything is on board, we're able to control all the neat little functions, headlights, sounds, the motors, all right? Whereas when you have a trailer car installation, you only have 2 wires in this connector, and it's going into the loco, and the loco thinks it's on track power, which means the lights get brighter as you get to a certain speed, but you don't have that control of all the, we'll call the different effects, all right? There's a thing called DCC, which is digital command control, and they send a signal through the rail, and you have a circuit board like this, and it can read all those signals, and you can turn your lights on and off. But it's primarily a track powered solution, and again, everybody has a different opinion, but out in the garden, we're back to relying on track power, maintenance, so that's why the DCC product I don't think is as popular as going to battery when it comes to being able to control all the different functions. But Al made a good observation. This engine is fully controllable with all its special effects, whereas here, all I have is forward and reverse motion. That's really all I got. Now, let's expand on that a second. You could put a sound system in here, all right? And it doesn't matter what brand sound system it is, and it could then trigger the horn and the whistle from track magnets. But when you get into this type of technology, you really want to push the button here and trigger the sounds and not have to worry about having track magnets. So with a trailer car install, it really complicates that a little bit.
No longer plug and play.
It's no longer plug and play, other than just power. and it's great when our club runs a show, you just plug it in and away you go. Now Brian powers your steam engine, right, with a trailer car, all right, and that works well, for Brian. So it depends on what you're expecting to do. Now, one thing is that you can always move the electronics in this car into the loco at some point. All right, maybe that's the next phase that you want to go to. Bob?
If you really want to blow the whistle and ring the bell in the trailing car, I use a flat Futaba 3-conductor plug. Center
okay.
Whistle and bell. It means one more plug. You have 2 instead of 1.
That's right.
You can do it.
That's right.
And that works well.
There you go.
You can't put the sound system in the trailing car, but the big advantage of the trailing car is you can use it behind any number of locomotives. So you don't have to buy that system for everything.
That's right. Now what Bob was saying, just so that you all hear, is that 2 things. One, the big advantage of a trailer car is we can take this trailer car and plug it into different locomotives. So you only have to get one system, but then you could run today this engine, and tomorrow or an hour later you can run a different engine. All right. You can also put the sound system in the trailer car. All right. Those of us that do installations know how to add an extra cable. The speaker is in the engine, and now you can get radio control of that sound system. So there is a way to do it. In other words, you don't have to limit yourself to just power. And then, and you can even rewire the lights. Again, it gets a little more complicated. So we can make it as sophisticated as you want. So if you have a wish list, and let's say that you're going to use an installer to do this, you just say, look, I want control of the lights, I want sound effects. Obviously, you get motor control. That's a given. And then we might have to say, okay, well, we have to add some extra cables to do that, which means now you're going to have to plug together a few cables. I don't know if all of you have seen this, but there are a gazillion wires between these two units. There's, how many? 13? 11? 13? How many? 13. 13. And I know John counted them. That's right. And now, in order to do what Al wants, as you can see, they needed to have essentially those 13 wires. I'm being simplistic, but basically that's what you need to do. The good news, as Bob knows, because he does installs, you could get away with maybe 6 wires to do this. 2 for the motor, 2 for sound effects, and then 2 maybe for lighting control. So maybe you can keep it simple. But the big beauty of the trailer car is that, yes, you can plug it into different locos. Now, here's, yes, sir?
Can you run 2 trains on the same track, 1 powered battery, 1 powered track?
Excellent question. Bill's question is, can you run 2 trains on the same track, 1 battery power and 1 track power? Yes, absolutely. The key, when you convert to a battery powered system, all right, you disable the track pickups or the wheel pickups to that engine. Some of the engines, it's done via a switch, real easy. Others, we have to tell you where to go find those wires, and they either unplug on USA locos, they have a plug-in connector, they just come apart, you're done. On some of the older Bachmann locos, you got to pretty much either nip them or disconnect them. There's a way to
switch the battery to track. You could have a battery to track switch on your end.
Okay, Bill's other question is, can you have a battery to track switch on the engine? Yes, you can. It just complicates the wiring. It does sometimes limit the ability to do some lighting effects because the radio control system is feeding one way, and when you switch to track power, it feeds another way, and depending on how the sound effects were wired and the lights are wired, they might not work when you flip that switch. And it gets very complicated. I mean, either have, you can figure it out, but I don't do a lot of that. Some of the folks here do. I know Tommy, he's gotten really good at it. He can do it in his sleep. He knows how to wire that switch all the time. John?
Yeah, you can do what he's saying. Like he's telling you. You got to stop and think, particularly with older locomotives. You really want to go through that hassle, put double pull, double throw switch someplace in